have you had residents with cognitive decline show improvement on the carnivore diet or on the ketogenic diet?
I have one resident who came to us showing a score on a MoCA test. I don't know if you know what the MoCA test is.
No, what's the MoCA test?
But I can't even remember what it stands for. But it's a bunch of questions, a sheet of paper that helps diagnose dementia, and the scores are from 0 to 30. 0 to 21, I think, is you have some kind of cognitive decline, dementia. 21 through 26 is like mild cognitive decline. You're starting in dementia, and then 27 to 30 would be you or me, normal people. So this lady came to us scoring a 15 on her MoCA. She left us like 7 or 8 months later scoring a 26. Like
That's
she was
crazy.
Just almost to the normal range. Yeah, she's living in an apartment in Seattle. She and Maria Emmerich are now good friends. She's thinking of moving down here and helping me with all this stuff.
Well, no wonder.
And she's a keto fanatic now. So,
wow.
But we're seeing other people's memory improve. I've got a guy in my house who came to us on hospice with a couple months to live. He's completely off hospice. He was barely able to stand up. He's walking around, and he was nonverbal. He's starting to talk and recognize his wife. He comes and hugs his wife now and things like that. So yes, we are seeing memory improvements. We're seeing improved MoCA scores. It does make a difference. It's a lot slower. Like I can fix diabetes really quick, type 2 anyway. The dementia and the Alzheimer's is a lot tougher.
Yeah. We had my mom's sister. My grandma died from dementia, like fairly young, in her 50s. Mm-hmm. Terrible disease.
It's the worst disease ever.
Yeah.
My uncle died of ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease.
I had a great
That's
uncle.
the worst, I think, but Alzheimer's is pretty close to the worst.
That's true. ALS, yeah, I had a great uncle pass away from ALS. That's brutal.
Yes, but other than that, of what I've seen, Alzheimer's is the next worst one.
Yeah, no.
And Parkinson's isn't so hot either. But yes,
yeah.
Parkinson's, there seems to be some interesting stuff too. So we don't just do the food with Alzheimer's too. We have a outside company consultant group called A Mind for All Seasons that they come in if people want to put their mom or dad on the program and do a whole bunch of blood work. So Alzheimer's, there's a lot of contributing factors to getting Alzheimer's disease. And there's like 36 to 40 different contributing factors, whether it's toxins in your body, whether it's inflammation, insulin resistance, vitamin, mineral deficiencies. There's all these different. So we send them out to a lab and they get a ton of blood work and we get a report from this group of here's all the things that are wrong with them. So not only do we do the food, but we also do supplementation with different vitamins. We do red light therapy. We do saunas, things like that to sort of just attack Alzheimer's from all around. The toxic loads in people's bodies directly contribute to Alzheimer's. The glyphosate, the mold, the chemicals that you may have been around during your working life, that kind of thing. So anything we can do to detoxify them as well as food helps detoxify. We give them stuff like glutathione and things like that, depending on the results of those labs.
Wow. So do you guys monitor air quality in there too? For mold?
Somewhat. I think a lot of people come to Arizona because mold isn't such a big deal here.
That's
but
why
it can be. I mean, I've had a leaky roof. So I have people come in and check for mold, but I'm not as good at doing all the HEPA filters and things like that. That may be the next thing. Just managing all what I'm doing right now is challenging.
Oh my gosh. No, what you're doing is incredible. The reason I moved to Arizona was because I got hit with mold in Florida. I didn't know that. Oh, Florida is like living in a swamp.
I lived in Florida for 7 years. I know what you mean.
I got quite ill fairly rapidly, and I was like, I had non-toxic products. I'm on a carnivore diet. I was like, what is happening? And finally realized we had mold in our HVAC. And I was like, okay, desert.
Yes.
Move into the desert.
Yeah. No, the mold you get here is your shower's leaking.
Yeah,
Or,
yeah.
Or, after a big rainstorm, if you just don't do anything about
Yeah.
it, kind of. But it's not very common.
Yeah. Agreed. Why did you, like, what's your background?
We could probably take up the whole podcast with that. I started, I went to the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs, the military academy. So I wanted to be a pilot my whole life. I got out of there. I flew some diplomatic airlift out of Japan for a couple of years. I went down to Florida. I flew for the Air Force Special Operations Command. I flew C-130s. Went to Bosnia, Kosovo, all those kind of things. Got out, flew for an airline for a couple of years, U.S. Air. And then 9/11 happened, and it kind of ended my flying career. There were just no jobs. Half the pilots in America were laid off. Mm-hmm. And so I went into manufacturing. It was the only job I could find up in Minnesota. My sister-in-law got me a job at her company. I was a financial auditor. Then I went into supply chain. I rose up to be a plant manager of a big aerospace machining plant.
Wow.
But I was doing some rental properties on the side, flipping houses kind of thing, dealing with a lot of mold. And another investor told me, hey, you should look into assisted living. It cash flows better. And I was renting to like a bunch of college kids, and they're like, they don't have keg parties in assisted living. So I looked into it. I actually went to flight school at the old Mesa Gateway Airport. It used to be called Williams Air Force Base. And so we'd always wanted to move back to Arizona. My kids wanted to go to ASU and everything like that. So I took a class in assisted living down here, liked what I saw. The guy who taught the class had a realtor. He's like, I got a bunch of homes for sale if you're interested. And I'm like, yeah, I'm interested. So talked to my wife. We took the leap of faith and moved down here, and been doing assisted living for about 9 years now.
And then how did you get into assisted living and then decide to implement like strategies for health? Because that doesn't happen. It's more like normal assisted living is like maintenance, trying to remove pain and death. It's not let's get you better in here.
Right. Absolutely. So when I got into assisted living, I looked around and was just like, wait a minute, we just let them sit here till they die? And everyone's like, well, no, that we, change their diapers, and we, give them activities, bingo and stuff.
Yeah.
And we, give them showers. But the medical people come in and take care of their health. We don't really do that stuff, or we feed them, that kind of thing. And I'm like, but the medical people yes, they're not dying right away, but they're not getting any better. And they're like, well, they're old, so they don't get better. And I'm like, well, that's BS.
Yeah.
So I just started Googling stuff. I'd always been a workout kind of guy. I wasn't a huge diet guy. I just thought I could outwork out a bad diet, like everyone thinks. So I just started going. I had one guy who was another pilot. It was really one of the great things about assisted living is you meet these people who were part of history. This guy was a pilot in the Berlin airlift.
Wow.
And he came in and he gave me the, I don't want to be here, I want to go home. And I'm like, well, how badly? And he's like, really badly. I want to be with my wife. And so I said, okay, well, we're going to just take away the sugar. You're not going to eat dessert, okay? We're going to have salads and lean meat and, what my mom told me was good for you. And I hired a trainer to work with him. And in about 4 or 5 months, I said, the deal is if you can get out of that wheelchair and walk and get in your wife's car, you can leave.
Aww.
And in 4 months, he got out and walked down the sidewalk, got in his wife's car, and they left. And I was like, we should do that for other people. So I just started Googling and searched on the internet, and I went through. The trainer was a vegetarian, so he's like, "Oh, you got to do the vegan thing. That'll get them all healthy and everything."
Yeah.
So we tried that next. I hired some vegan nutritionists, And they gave me lists of ingredients that I had to like run all over town trying to find these weird spices and vegetables and things like that. And I'm like, I don't have time for this. I'm running 4 homes. I got to fill them. I got to, deal with inspections, all this kind of stuff. So, and then maybe a month into the vegan or 2 months into the vegan thing, all the residents were rebelling. They're like, I'm not eating a salad for breakfast. I want eggs. I want, bacon. I want cereal. So I just, and I wasn't seeing any real improvements. Yeah. Either they weren't eating and losing weight, or the eating wasn't doing much for them. So I fired the nutritionist and said, that's not working. So we went back to just like, let's eat good stuff, not sugary stuff.